Hello and welcome back to Mr. Caro's Plays FM23. Now, today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We're going to talk about youth development. Now, there are various different ways to go about youth development, and to be honest, none of these routes are necessarily wrong. But today I'm going to talk about specifically how I go about it. Now, I've had, like most people, I'd imagine, various levels of success. I mean, like I said, there is no right and wrong. Now, with my French team, Bordeaux, we do have the luxury of having a B team or second team, if you like. And now this is the same in leagues such as the Spanish league has quite a few second teams, and the Dutch league also. And there probably be others also that have this luxury. Now, if we go to our development centre and then we go to our second team, now you can see that in this, we've got a lot of players of high potential. And now what I tend to do is I will tend to mix some first team players within that as well. So there'll be in a game, for example, if we go back to one of my previous fixtures, I didn't necessarily do it in the last one. I've had varied results for this, by the way, as well. You can see, let's pick out one higher up, as I haven't always done it. There you go. This is a good one to look at. You can see that there are some first team players in there. So this guy, for example, I've sold him now, but he's 32 years old, and he played in that B team. And the reason why we did that was because it can and it does benefit you to an extent to play these younger players with more experienced players. Now, also another reason why that is effective is because if you look at my first team in here, for example, I've got an 18-year-old who would play in the B team, for example, as well as be on the bench for my first team, and that kind of filters through. Again, another player here, 17 years old. And we've got a young British player up here, 19 years old, and then vice versa. So and then we've got, for another example, another 19-year-old who I'm playing in there. So you can kind of see the method to the madness, if you like. And that's like how I go about it. Now, the other route to this is to loan players out. Now, I must admit, I have had various levels of success with this. I would always say to kind of loan players out if you're willing for it, not necessarily, I didn't mean that to happen like that, to necessarily work, okay? Have been many examples for me where loaning someone out has been completely unsuccessful. And we can see here, if we look at this guy here, he's a potential player, first team player, and he hasn't really played at all in that loan spell. And there's probably another example with this guy here who, again, hasn't really played at all. So you have to be careful when you loan players out. Now, what I would tend to do if it was me loaning the player out, is I would look at the youth facilities, look at the training facilities, specifically the training facilities, to be fair, and see if they're actually going to benefit from the time, out there, as well as making sure that the agreed time is a regular starter or potentially an important starter, okay? Simply because if you don't do that, then there's no guarantee that they are going to play those players. Now, the other caveat to that, and the final notion on loaning players out, is to make sure that you include a recall to that loan. Now, I know I haven't done it on this guy here, but as you can see, the majority of my players that are loaned out have got recalls. Now, I do that simply because if they don't play, if they have an unsuccessful loan, then you can get them back, and it's not going to impact their time away too significantly. Now, the final kind of notion on youth development would be making sure that you play them in the first team. Now, for me, if we go to an example up here with this guy here, an 18-year-old, now I have played him over the last 3 seasons quite a few times, 54 times in the first team. Now, I did that even when he was a 2-star player. Now, he may not develop into being a world-class player, although he has appeared on the Wonder Kid list. However, I would always play these players, as much as you possibly can. Now, obviously, you can't weaken your team to do that. Another player in there, 18 years old. This was someone I brought in, to be fair, but again, thrown straight into the first team, and it has worked. There will be occasions where it doesn't work, but my kind of idea, my kind of thought process on this, and my advice would always be to kind of try it. Don't necessarily, if they have a bad game, don't just hook them out of the team straight away. Maybe give them a second game, maybe play them off the bench. If it turns out they don't work after 3 or 4, maybe 5 games, then maybe then put them back in the second team, maybe just think about loaning them out. But you don't want to pull the trigger in terms of getting rid of them or in terms of stopping them playing too early. Now, kind of the third and final point, maybe the fourth and final point, that I will make is that sometimes youth players are not going to make it. That's a reality of the situation here. If we look in this team again, my second team, some of these players will never play for my first team. However, if we look at his value, 350,000, he's only getting paid £80 a week. If I can sell him for 250, 350,000, I will make a profit on that player. And that's the same for a lot of, that's kind of the ethos that I have. I will keep players, sign them up for longer deals, even if I know realistically they're not going to make it, in the bids to try and sell them on. Now, and the caveat to that would be don't keep them too long, because you'll start to pay more than you'll get back from a transfer fee. Now, I'm going to leave this video as this. I can potentially do a second part to this video, but I want to see how it does in terms of how much you guys like the video. Now, like I always say, if you can like and subscribe this video, or this channel and this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button for more videos. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.